What is a hero? A mythological figure, often of divine descent, endowed with great strength or ability? An illustrious warrior? No. It's a person admired for achievements and noble qualities, one who shows great courage. Welcome to the What's a Hero podcast, where we dive deep into what a hero is and what makes them that hero. I'm your host, Ken Frownfelter, and I'm going to be introducing you to some of the world's most likely and unlikely heroes. You may have never heard of them before, and they most likely have never met you. But they all have one thing in common. They are ready to do whatever it takes to help make you better, even if it means sacrificing everything for you. Let's get into it.
This is episode 86 of the What's a Hero podcast with me, Ken Frownfelter. You ever go into something that you're not quite sure what you're getting yourself into when you go get into that? And I'm talking about you're taking leaps and steps forward in which you are just not sure what the next step is, but you know that this is the step that you have to take. Well, we have a number of people that do that. You take people that are in the military, you take people that are in the service industry that are doing things for other people, and they're getting out of that. And they're going to go do the next thing, but they're not sure what that is, but they know they have to take a step. Well, there are people out there that support and help those folks that do that idea in which you go out and you step that foot forward, unknown to what you're stepping into, and you are going to go forward, but you know you can't do it alone because there are people that are willing to help you out. We always look to those people to say, okay, hey, what should my next step be? How do I learn from this person? What should I do in order to do that? And sometimes it's scary. Sometimes we get it under control. But there's that time that some people fail in that because they don't know what they're doing. They're not paying attention either before they go do it. They haven't done enough research or whatever the case may be, but they will step forward and they might fail. But that doesn't mean that they're failures. They go forward and they step that foot into the future in which they see themselves becoming either an entrepreneur, starting a business, opening something for somebody else, maybe doing something for somebody else. You just never know what you're going to step yourself into as you're going forward in your life. And that takes so much courage. That takes so much wherewithal. And for us to be able to support those heroes who have given everything already that are now trying to do that is an awesome thing. So today I have a guest who does that very thing, who is a Navy veteran himself. He's done a lot of stuff to where he has not only helped himself, but helped other people take that next step. And so with us today, we have Mr. Douglas James. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you today?
Excellent, Ken. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. You know, it's when I got contacted and said, hey, you're willing to, we can be on the show, we can do it. I was stoked. Said, yeah, great. I'm all for it. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, who is the Douglas James? If I know that's your website as well, but who is the Douglas James?
Yeah, well, I'll just tell you the Douglas James came from douglasjames.com just not being available. I think douglasjames.com belongs to like some showerhead company in Australia. So 7, 8, 9 years ago, whenever it was, I had to choose a domain. So I went with the, so that explains that. But yeah, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I served 10 years in the Navy as a hospital corpsman. Basically went to the military because there was no way I was going back to college, or doing college like at all. I was basically a D student in high school, and I was not a good classmate or good at following orders. Not good at following orders, and definitely joined the wrong space going into the military, right? But
right.
Yeah, I mean, I joined the Navy because I was like not going on a positive path like at all, really, because I was, living with my grandparents' house. I wasn't going to college. I was bartending, staying out super late all the time. And all of a sudden my grandma was like, and my mom were like, you're going to, go to college. You're going to go to the military. You're going to get the F out of my house. So,
right.
So I had an ultimatum. So I ended up joining the Navy. And I got to tell you, I mean, just like every service member, could probably agree. You know, there's definitely things that you love and miss about the military, and then there's things that you don't. And I could tell you, I had some of my best experiences that I ever had serving in the Navy for the 10 and a half years that I was a corpsman. So,
yeah, that's awesome. So so tell us, let's go back even further. Who was little Dougie James? Who was this little guy? What did he grow up doing? Where did he grow up? How was it that he formed himself to become the guy that he is now?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, I think it's a really deep question. I think it really goes back pretty far, you know, because growing up, you know, today, right, it's a completely different deal from joining Navy and having like this big, you know, marketing company and coaching company that I do now. It doesn't really align with what I came from, or does it, right? And the reason why I say that is because, well, I came from a household where, you know, you don't really, you know, there's no, like, my parents or nobody was telling me, hey, you know, go start a company or go be an entrepreneur and go help people. It was like, you know, go to school, go to college, get your degree, get a really good paying job, and get the house, get the mortgage, and do all that stuff, right? The conventional ways. And that's what I was taught to do or told to do. So for me to do what I did now is completely against the grain. And I think a lot of it came from as well being in a household where, you know, this might get kind of deep, but like my parenthood, or I'm sorry, my parents, you know, my mom was a respiratory therapist. She worked 12-hour nights multiple times a week for our whole lives. So I didn't really see her much growing up, but she did everything she could for me and my sister. I have one other sister. Whereas on the other side, my dad, he was basically the opposite. He didn't have a job. He drank, alcoholic, you know, he did drugs. He ran around all night with doing God knows what with who know what, right?
Right.
And had a gambling problem, addiction, and there was, you know, verbal, physical violence in the house. And there was, even though my mom made good money because of my dad's addictions and all that stuff, there was times where me and my sister didn't know if we were going to eat, and there were days where we didn't eat, like at all, and we had water, or maybe lettuce or ramen noodle in the pantry. So, I think from all of that and going through all that trouble as a child, you know, you kind of, it sticks with you. It's a lot of trauma.
Right.
And I just took it upon myself to build a lifestyle that would never put me in a situation to have to worry about money, to not have to worry about food. And now that I have a daughter and another little girl on the way, I don't want them to have to ever worry about those things either. Right. So it triggered something in me that I basically learned from the example of what not to be and my father. And that got me to the point of joining the military. And I just, you know, through the military, you learn discipline, you learn leadership, you learn accountability and responsibility and ownership and all these different things. And what I always tell veterans after working with hundreds of them now, all of your skills and experiences, right, are highly transferable to the outer world. You just don't know where to look or who to ask, right?
Right.
So I just took a lot of what I learned in the military. I was always the guy that people came to get something done, you know. So I always did in the military, you know, you got your annual evaluation, it's time to take a test or to go up to the next rank or to get a promotion. Well, they always look at like your academic score, but then they look at your career and what you did over the last year. Did you go to college? Did you, you know, do fundraisers, or did you volunteer time? Did you go on deployment? Did you do extracurricular stuff that others didn't want to do? Right. So I was always the guy that was performing in my duties, but volunteering for the deployments, volunteering for all the other stuff. And that got me, you know, awards and Sailor of the Year and all kinds of stuff like that. So I just kind of took that and realized, you know what, I can build a company and I can lead people on the outside.
That's
right?
awesome.
And that's basically, you know, what I did. And that kind of morphed me into what I am today. So.
Yeah. Did you, when you were in school, I'm assuming you played outside, you played sports and stuff in high school and all that sort of stuff. Did you have an idea what you wanted to do when you graduated? Did you say, you know what, the military is going to be a good out for me, an opportunity? Or did you say, hey, I wanted to go to college or start a business or anything like that? Or did you have a specific plan?
I literally had no plan for like a really long time. I was basically just living life with the cards that were dealt to me, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I went to high school. I graduated probably 1.7 GPA. I did not look attractive to any type of colleges or anything like that. That's why I joined the military. I did end up, and in high school, I did play ball, played football, right? I did ROTC actually for 4 years in high school.
Wow.
So that actually got me into the mind frame of military. So I forget to bring that up a lot in my story because that was actually you don't realize it, but that actually molded me a lot into the man that I am because they started those foundational military principles right early on in high school. You wore your uniform every Wednesday. You stood uniform inspections. You had to pass a physical fitness exam, right? All those things. So those are the things that I kind of did. But in the military, I ended up going to I was a corpsman. I actually became a lab tech. They sent me down to San Antonio for couple years, and actually I got a degree in science and became a lab tech. So
wow, that's kind of cool.
But that's the extent. So literally everything that I do today has nothing to do with that degree.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I've got a degree, but yeah, and I'm assuming you were able to use that while you were in the Navy, though.
Yeah, I mean that degree, I became a lab tech, right? So you're a little bit more specialized. Your job, I think lab techs on the outside in the military. If I wanted to go get a job as a lab tech, I could probably made, 50, maybe 60K a year. But like I always tell people, if you take on any job or anything, I mean that's great if you're passionate about it, but you always had a cap to what you can make.
Right.
And then if there's any kind of promotions or increases in pay, that's competitive, right?
Yeah. And it's up to somebody else deciding whether or not that your worth is the same as theirs or whatever the case may be. You're up to somebody else's. Yeah. So you decide to go into the Navy. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana, actually.
Okay. Yeah. So you're close enough to the water that it wasn't such a weird thing to say, hey, I'm going to go into the Navy. You were, as opposed to, say you grew up in, I don't know, Ohio or something like that, and say, hey, I'm going to the Navy. I'm going to go in the ocean. So,
I know those guys join the Army, right?
Right.
Usually.
Right. So,
yeah.
But
I'll tell you so basically I joined the Navy. It was recommended Navy over Air Force or Marines or anything like that because I had a great grandfather that was in the Navy, and he was on the USS Arizona in Pearl Harbor. So that whenever the military conversation came up, my grandma was like, hey, you had this great grandfather, Navy is a good thing. My grandpa was like, Navy is a good thing. I'm like, okay, let's do the Navy. So that's kind of how that happened. And yeah, growing up in New Orleans, you're right there on the coast. So just to the east, 40-minute drive, you're in Gulfport, Mississippi, and you got the coast all the way down Mississippi and Florida. So we would take trips all the time right there. And, and again, I talked about my dad. You got the casinos right there. So that's kind of like,
yeah, Vice Central. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was cool.
And so you go into the Navy, and was it everything you thought it was going to be? Did you see yourself as like, hey, I really like this, or what? And I know you said you enjoyed your time in the military, but did you ever second guess yourself or get buyer's remorse or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot. I mean, so I joined the Navy, and it's kind of a funny story. So I growing up as a kid, I loved electronics. I love computers, video games, stuff like that. I watch tech TV all the time. Mm-hmm. I think it's called G4 TV now. But
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would watch those shows. So I signed up with the Navy to be an IT, an information system technician. So in order to do that, you have to have a top secret security clearance. So it's secret, top secret, then confidential. Mm-hmm. You get to boot camp, right? And I think it's like 9 or 10 days into boot camp, they have something called the moment of truth, where they're like, hey, if you ever like stole, went to jail, smoked pot, or did anything, we're going to find out. So you might as well tell us now, because it's going to be a lot worse for you later on if we find out, right?
Right.
So actually, when I was 17, I was working for Target. And when I was working for Target, they made me like the electronics specialist. So I had the keys to all the stuff. And I look back on it now in hindsight, I'm like, that was really stupid. But I learned something from this, not to steal. But I ended up stealing like some electronics. and I got in trouble and I got caught. I actually went to jail for like 18 hours.
Wow.
And it was like probably the worst 18 hours of my life. But in order to get that security clearance, you had to have a top secret, and you can't have anything on your record. So when I talked to my recruiter and I was looking at joining the Navy, I told him, hey, I got in trouble. I'm in a first offenders program. It's going to get wiped off my record. I'm just paying this little $100 a month, going to these little classes, and it's like a year-long program.
Mhm.
And he's like, oh, no worries, brother. I'm going to get that taken off your record, expunged, and you're just going to go in the military and to the Navy, no problem.
Like every recruiter, they're the most honest in the world.
Yeah, super transparent, right?
Yeah.
And he did tell me, if it ever comes up, just say you've never done anything. Like you've never stole, you never did drugs, you didn't smoke pot, you didn't do anything. And at that point, the only thing I was ever guilty of that I did that was like bad legally was like I stole from a store. So when we get to the moment of truth, like they make it super scary. They're like, you tell us or we're gonna like
Oh yeah,
throw you in the brig or something.
yeah,
right?
yeah. I remember that.
It's like these big buff dudes, and you're like, okay, I need to just let them know. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let them know it's been expunged. My recruiter's got my back. It's all good. Like that was the mindset I had. So I go into the room for the interview for the security clearance, and the first question, like, have you ever been arrested? And I was just like, yeah, I was been arrested, stole some stuff, but my recruiter took care of it. It's all good. He's like, he immediately like closed the file like that and was like, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to pick a different rate or a different job. You don't qualify. And dude, I was literally devastated because that's what I signed up for the Navy for.
Oh, man.
I did not want to do like any other jobs or anything. So I called my grandma. She's like, come home. My mom's like, no, stay and pick a different job. Do like medical, because she's a respiratory therapist. My mom actually has other pharmacists and doctors on her side of the family.
Mhm.
I'm like, so I gave it a day and I was like, all right, let me just stay here. I'm already here. So I chose, medical, which was corpsman for the Navy. And I'm actually really lucky because when I tell that story, a lot of people are like, damn, dude, you're lucky you didn't get like just kicked out at that point. So I was actually really lucky to stay in and actually take another job. So I'm fortunate, I guess, for that case. But I mean, that was that story. And I stayed in. But here's the thing. This is a little bit long-winded, but you asked me if I had like buyer's remorse or anything.
Good,
but
that's good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I basically took everything that I did in the military. I was, 10 and a half years I was in. So up until the last 3 years that I was in,
Mhm.
because at the last 3 years, that's when I found internet marketing. I started my marketing company. Right. So, but for about 7.5 years of my whole military career, I basically made every career decision that I made was based off of someone else's opinion. It was never based off of what I want to do, what's important to me, what I want to do in my career or anything like that.
Mhm.
It was just like my chief or my LPO was just like, yeah, you should just do this. Right. So I became a corpsman. I got stationed in Bethesda, Maryland. And for 2 years, we traveled all over the Northeast doing blood drives. We did blood drives at the Pentagon. We did blood drives at Dover Air Force Base. I mean, literally everywhere. And the blood center is all lab techs, and then the corpsmen that work there just help, are basically the working bees that do the blood drives, right?
Right.
So when it came time to pick orders to leave there, my two options was to go FMF to be with the Marines and probably get deployed and go to war,
Mhm.
or become a lab tech. And then I basically won Sailor of the Year, fortunately. So everything's kind of political. So
Sure.
one of my chiefs made a phone call. They penciled me in the lab class. The only caveat was I did have to go train with the Marines for like 3 months in Camp Lejeune, which I did and was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty fun. But yeah, I became a lab tech, and then you fast forward all the way through when I became a lab tech, I always did my job well.
Mhm.
I always showed up and did extra work, but lab tech is so highly detailed. Like one little mistake could literally kill someone. So
yeah.
I actually struggled with being a lab tech for a really long time, and I got moved around. I had remediation and all kinds of stuff, and it all ended up with. And I don't tell the story too often, but I'll share it. Yeah, I was stationed in Italy, and I was working nights, and part of and it's a small clinic. It's a small, spot. So when you're working nights in the lab, you're the only corpsman or lab tech in the lab, like processing blood, processing urine and stuff like that. So I think it's like 3 a.m. a baby's born, and the first thing that happens when a baby's born, you know, they need to take blood to determine the blood type of the baby, because if the baby needs any type of blood transfusion, you need to save that baby's life, right? So 3 a.m. they take the blood, it comes to me, I do all the tests like I think it's supposed to be done, and I basically do the test and report back to the doctor the blood type. But lo and behold, 7 a.m. comes around, my boss comes back and they double check my work and it's the wrong blood type. So basically from 3 a.m. till 7 a.m. in those 4 hours, if that baby needed any kind of blood and I transfused them and released blood products to the wrong blood type,
could have killed it. Yeah.
Kill that baby, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So that does not settle well. It has not settled well, obviously, for a long time. And I just learned that what I learned from that now in hindsight is I am not a good integrator. I am not a good implementer. Because everything that I did in the military was always based around a big vision and leading troops and leading sailors. It was never so much technical implementation. And I learned this because when I started my company, I started to pay attention to tests like the Kolbe test, where you learn that there's four different types of characteristics it teaches you in that Kolbe test. There's implementers, there's people that follow through, there's visionaries, you know, and there's people that like a lot of data and analyzing things. And I just learned, like, I'm the quick start visionary, but I have to have a team to implement and integrate. And when you're in the military, they like give you your job and that's your job. And if you suck at it, it doesn't necessarily align you up with the job that you're supposed to be based off your personality and based off of who you are as a person.
Right.
So that's what I learned through that experience. So now I'm able to do that in my company. But yeah, I mean, to answer your original question, like, yes, I had buyer's remorse, so to speak, because everything that I did in military was based off of someone's opinion of what I should do. It was never. And then when I found digital marketing, that's what, like, this is what I want to do. So I slowly, for 3 years, I transitioned out. My contract was up and I got out, and now I'm doing what I'm doing. So
nice. And so really quick, go back to those four. So it's an implementer, a visionary, and what were the other two?
Yeah, it's actually quick start. It's an implementer, it's follow through, and it's analytical. That's the fourth thing. So for me as a visionary, I operate better in a quick start analytical space, meaning like I gather information before anything happens, and I'm quick to start a project. But in order for that project to actually go through and to get results, I need to work with a team that can integrate or implement it and follow through with the implementation of that project or task. Because if not, my visionary, quick start, analytical mind is not gonna do it. And I learned that about myself. And yeah, it's a powerful tool. Kolbe.com, KOLBE.com. That's a powerful tool. I think it's like $55. Every single employee or contractor or even like partner that I work with, I have them take that test so I can know how they're going to show up to make sure they're in the right role that they need to be in for our company or in our partnership. So right.
No, that's awesome. I didn't even know about that. And I might just go take it right when we get done here.
Absolutely.
That'd be great. So you said you went and did more of the, instead of actually being deployed with the Marines, you went and did more of the political side of things. Is that correct?
Yeah, I guess so. Being in the hospital, working, I feel like I was in a constant like ring around the rosy with like, all right, it's sale of the quarter time, it's sale of the year time, it's evaluation time, it's time to get a Navy Marine Corps achievement. Like, it was just like this. Yeah, it is a kind of like a political thing. The best thing that I ever did in my time was going on a humanitarian mission on the USNS Mercy out of San Diego. We went to Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Philippines, and Vietnam. And dude, that was like, even today, that was the best work I've ever done as a human. I mean, we literally got to build schools for kids, soccer fields, stuff like that. We gave them literature. We drew with them. It was like the best thing I think I've ever done. And we even like gave care to people that just don't have Western medicine, you know. That was really cool.
How long was that?
I think it was about 8.5 month deployment. back in early 2015 is when it went down. It was
Right.
PP15, Pacific Partnership 2015.
And that's one of those things where you there's no question that you can sit there and say, did I do any good today? You got done and you're like, dang, I feel I'm a good person. That sort of thing when you're done with that.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like I'll never forget this moment, man. Like we were in the Philippines. We were in like a really like rural part of the island. So they don't have much there. Everyone's either walking around with no shoes or sandals or whatever, living in like little tiki houses. That's how it was in Papua New Guinea as well. They looked at us like we were like aliens. But yeah, I mean, I just remember the last time I was the corpsman that went out. So when we like pulled into port, we would set up a satellite clinic, right? So we did that like literally 14 times in like 8 months. It was ridiculous. Like it's basically like building a whole building right on the port, right? And then taking it down and like you're back at sea. But yeah, I just remember like the last day we were there, you know, we had just built like these schools, these 4 walls and these soccer fields and basketball courts for these kids. And we went up and they wanted to have like a ceremony for all of us. And I was the corpsman that was with the CBs. So the CBs, you know, they're the construction battalion of the Navy.
Right.
They could build, you know, anything. And they had a ceremony. So like I guess he was like the mayor of the city or something that was there. And he had all these ranking individuals and all the kids were there. And I'm walking up with the CBs and we have like boxes of like crayons, books and literature and stuff for the kids. And the kids just like bolted towards us, dude. I'm talking about like hundreds and hundreds of kids.
They lost their minds on that stuff.
And there was like maybe 20 of us with the CBs. I had another corpsman with me and they just like got around us, grabbed our leg, man. They were pulling the books from us. They were yelling, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll just never forget that moment, man. And that, you know, that moment and then coming back from that deployment, that was what set me into a different mind that I think I've done all I can do for the military now. I need to start thinking about my future. And then how do I give back to maybe organizations or maybe even nonprofits that are doing things like building schools for kids or providing some kind of service for people in need. And I can not only give with my time, but give with money. So if I can make more money, maybe create a business, make more money, I can actually do more because the more you can make, the more you can give. Like I can only give up to 24 hours a day, but I still need most of that time for me as a human. But if I make X number of dollars, I can have way more impact. Right.
Right.
Like I heard people say like money doesn't buy happiness. Well, I mean, have you tried giving some away? Like it puts a big smile on people's faces. Right.
True. Well, and I think that, and I heard another interview recently on this sort of thing. Guy was saying something very similar to this, that, you know, these people that say, you know, I just want to go make money because they want to live this nice lifestyle or they want to have this car or they want to have whatever, instead of taking that money so then they can go ahead and turn it over to something else and make something better for somebody else, giving them an opportunity or providing, you know, some way out for people that don't have a way out, giving people that other opportunity as opposed to just becoming rich and famous and sitting on a beach all the time and drinking Mai Tais because that's what money buys according to Instagram, you know?
Right.
And that's, and the fact that you're saying that, it reminds me of that conversation that I heard with these 2 guys. And it was just that exact same thing where you're not here to make money to make yourself better or, you know, whatever. You're actually wanting to use that is it to relive or have that feel that you had when you were doing that humanitarian aid during that time?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, you don't realize how much, like over here in the United States, man, like we got it. You want to go down to Chili's, you want to go to the bar, have a drink, you want to go watch a movie in a nice movie theater with luxury leather seats and recline. You want to just walk over to your refrigerator and find food there. Oh, and there's a roof over your head, right? For the ones that are fortunate to have that in the United States, because I know we have a lot of homeless, unfortunately, which is another conversation. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, we got it good here, you know, over there in these third world poverty countries, like rural parts of Philippines or Papua New Guinea and stuff like that, man, it's very third world, you know? So when you get out of your shell, get out of your comfort zone, get out of your bubble, you start to realize how good you really got it. So, yeah, for me, I think it's all about, living with purpose, right? Every
Mm-hmm.
single day. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's only one of you in all creation.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're gone, the money and the cars and everything all these assets and things you wanted to acquire during your life, you can't take it with you. The only thing that's going to be left is what people are going to be saying about you and the mark that you left on them.
That
And
legacy that you have.
that legacy. Yeah.
Yeah.
People talk about legacy a lot. And I tell you, I have a mentor. His name is Dr. Jeff Spencer. He's 71 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about how every 10 years, if you look at human biology and personality and how you carry yourself in every 10-year block from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and so on and so forth, there's certain categories where we know based off biology and where you're at in life is what's most important to you. So for a typical man or woman in their 30s to 40s, that's a time for basically for domination, for knocking over dominoes and conquest, right? Like you want to acquire assets, you want to build, right? And that's where I'm at. I feel that right now at 35 years old, I'm really all about growth and building in my company and stuff like that. But once you get older, 40s to 50s, it's more about, you're starting to slow the brakes just a little bit. You care more about security and taking care of your family. You talk, having the home and stuff like that. And when you get to 50, 60, and 70, it's more so about reconciliation, mentorship, and giving back. Right. And that's why people so my mentor, he's 71. He's all about reconciling. He's looking at all of his relationships. If there's anything that needs to be revisited with anyone to make amends or to give back, and to give to people so that there's something left when he's gone. That's what he's doing right now. And I think about that now. It's like it's never too late to help someone in need, because I think that the number one thing that we could be doing as human beings is helping other people get closer to what matters to them. Because if you can help other people get what they want, you can have all you want in life. And I learned that from Zig Ziglar. He's a prolific sales and marketing guy from a while back. I read that in his book, and I realized that all my time in the military and how I've lived my life today, I've always been focused on helping other people get what they want, and I found that the fruits of that has always come back for me to harvest. Right. Because I'm helping people achieve XYZ, and they might be compensating me or things just, the universe has a way of working back. Yeah. So I think the more you can focus on other people and be a service provider and a giver, the more you'll have what you want in life.
Now, you were saying that during your time in the Navy, you said that first however many years you were kind of focused on just doing whatever somebody told you. And then that last portion, what third or the quarter or whatever of your career there, you started working towards doing what you needed to do to start focusing on yourself a little bit more. But you also were saying before we started recording today that you had chiefs and stuff that were coming to you, asking you for guidance and stuff like that in doing things. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, I was so I couldn't get out the Navy for literally 3 years. I was locked in, right? So, but I found internet marketing 3 years before I could get out. So I had to keep my head down as much as possible, which was hard because as I was working with clients and building my business, of course, I talked with my friends that I was working with, and word just kind of got around, and any organization, even like in corporate, people gossip. Word spreads like wildfire. So all of a sudden I had, chiefs, I had a master chief come up to me and say, HM1 Doherty. Doherty's my actual last name. James is my middle name. Douglas James is my brand. So Doherty, they would go HM1 Doherty. It's an Irish name. It's my dad's name. They would say, I'm getting out the military next month. I'm 45 years old and I don't want to sit in a classroom full of 19-year-olds. Like, what do you do? How are you making money outside the military? I heard about what you do. So from there, I basically had a moral obligation to create some type of coaching or education to help, transitioning service members and veterans. And more so to get my time back, because I had multiple people coming up to me. They were DMing me on Facebook. They were texting me. They were calling me. My girlfriend at the time was, she wasn't having it. It was like taking a lot of my time. I wasn't getting my workouts as like I used to like to get to do because I had to give so much of my time. So
Right.
I really had to find a way to get my time back, number one, and had a moral duty to help these people that were asking me for help. Like if there's something that you possess that's going to help someone else, it's actually quite selfish to not share that with the other person, right?
Right.
So it was a moral duty for me to do what I did. So that's how I got into the coaching and education now with helping transitioning veterans. And it's grown into, what it is today. So.
And that's awesome that you're able to do that you're able to put that towards other people and start focusing on that. Now, when you finally did get out of the Navy, when you were able to separate yourself from there, were you set up to do what you needed to do, or was it still just a little bit of a question like, are things going to be okay? Am I going to be able to make it? Am I good to go? Or was it, no, this is fine. I know exactly what I'm doing, what I'm going to be doing tomorrow when I wake up, and I'm not putting a uniform on.
Yeah. So I can tell you the day I got out, the month that I got out, I was making what the Navy was paying me in a year, in a month.
Wow.
At that point. Yeah. So I basically, at about the 3 or 4 month mark, I think I was already at making like 20 grand a month, something like that. So that was already like 3 or 4 months pay in a single month. And then I just kept working on it and building. And then, it's in anything you do in life, business, relationships, spouse, kids, it's an infinite game. You have to have a long-term time preference in all that you do. I think most people, get into business or get into things because they get super excited, right? They might be a high quick starter, kind of like me. But I just knew I had to grind and I had to fight the voices and the stories in the back of my head because that was my personality is not an implementer, follow through person. It's a quick start, analytical, high visionary kind of person. So just because you're not an implementer doesn't mean you can't implement. You have to implement things sometimes. So I had to fight through that and implement it. And it was a long-term game. I mean, for 3 years, I had to show up every single day. I had to see my chief. I had to see these people, and knowing what I knew and how woken I was to money and how money works and how the world works. It was like really hard and painful because I just wanted to like yank everyone like a chicken. I'm like, guys, you have no idea what's out there. Like, wake up.
Right. Because you see these younger guys that are just blowing their whole paycheck on a weekend, and you're like, what are you doing? You should be saving, or you should be investing, or you should be doing something with that, as opposed to they'd go get drunk or whatever on a weekend. And I remember that specifically in the Marine Corps. We'd see guys and they'd come back and their whole check would be gone. I mean, luckily and it's like you have no money for anything else because and it was not a big deal for them, and it's frustrating to see somebody who's not willing to invest in themselves, much less, make a monetary investment.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I did those things too, when I was in Italy, the whole time I was in the Navy up until before I really started my company. Yeah. I was out, at the clubs, drinking, having a good time. And, according to our biology, from 20 to 30, you're not really thinking about the next 50 years. You're thinking about euphoria and having a good time and dopamine, right? Like that's it's so if you are in your 20s, like don't feel so bad, but just understand like as you get older, those things become less important and the next 50 years become way more important to you. Right. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And it's like I said, it's an infinite game, have a long-term time preference and everything. I share this too when I say that, like an example of that, if you were to go like invest money into a company, like it's $10,000 or $100,000 or even $1 million, you give it to a VC fund, that money sits there for like at least 3 years. Like, so you can't do anything or have any kind of returns for like literally 3 years. Some real estate funds, it's 10 years. So like if you get into business or a marriage or relationship, you got to have this long-term outlook and not think anything's going to happen tomorrow. Right. I mean, same thing with your career. By the time I got out of the Navy after 10 and a half years, I was, an E6, probably making about 65, almost 70 grand a year with BH and all that kind of stuff, so it just takes time like anything.
Right. So you get out, you start doing it. Are you doing the exact same thing now that you were when you got out?
Yeah, I'm doing that and a lot more, so the main thing I learned was I connected the dots and realized, brick and mortar companies are willing to pay me thousands of dollars a month to help them get new customers. So I set up these ads online. I set up these pages using Facebook and Google. I run traffic, and I send chiropractors, dentists, and car dealerships new clients and customers, and they pay me thousands of bucks each per month. Then that got me because I did that so well, and people found out, like I had the Master Chiefs and stuff coming up to me. They were like, "How do you do this?" So that put me into more of an educator role, and I started this coaching education company now that has served over literally 7,000 people at this point. We work with hundreds of military veterans, and because I care about the veteran community so much, we're actually putting on a military veteran event. Our community has grown so big. This military veteran event that we're putting on in San Diego, it's going to be March 3rd through March 5th. It's going to be an in-person event. Probably have 300 veterans there, but we're going to get together, and the topics are business, financial literacy, leadership. There's so many veterans, as you know, that come out the military. We get all those skills: discipline, ownership, accountability, leadership, and just a drive, right? And if all of those skills are transferable into entrepreneurship. So we're going to be there for those 2.5 days talking about that. I got speakers like Robert Kiyosaki is going to be there. He was the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, right?
Yep.
Jason Redmond is going to speak as well, the Navy SEAL. I think he got shot in the face like 7 or so times and survived, and he's making his rounds as well. So it's going to be pretty powerful. I'm going to be on stage. There's going to be some other speakers as well, but we just want to help veterans kind of wake up, even if you're active duty or if you've been a veteran for a while, and if you're trying to figure out how to get into this online digital economy, and create your own economy. That's what these 2.5 days are going to be. It's militarywealthsummit.com. If you want to share with your audience, they can go to that website.
So say that again, military.
Yeah. Military Wealth Summit. So wealth is WEALTH, wealthsummit.com, and grab a ticket. I think the tickets are like generals and $97. If you want to meet the speakers, it's like $597, something like that. 2.5 days, meals and stuff like that. It's going to be in San Diego, up in Torrey Pines, if you're familiar with that area.
And I understand you're giving away a car or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah. So we partnered with this organization. So basically, we're going to give away a car to a veteran in need of reliable transportation. So we'll have a kind of like a vetting process for that. But it's just another way to give back to the community, and and see how we can help. We've partnered with a couple of organizations that'll probably have some giveaways as well.
That's way cool.
Yeah,
way cool. And I mean, you're 35. You're nowhere near being done. You've got so many more years left to do stuff with. And what do you see kind of on the horizon for the DouglasJames.com and or yourself, your family?
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
Yeah. I mean, I've done a lot. I've been pretty successful at this point. I obviously have a lot of growth and a lot of things that I want to do at this point. And I'm just trying to share as much value as I can to the people around me. Cause, it's all about increasing your floor, right? My floor used to be, earning $100 a night at the bar, and then it became serving my country, and then it kind of grows. So the floor now is try to help as many people around me become successful, so that they can change their lives, see life from a different lens. Because for me, it's actually super frustrating because I know so much stuff now, and I see people living their life and complaining and being impulsive and making rash decisions and not like trying to get ahead. They're worried about what girl's gonna be at the club tonight, or whatever it is, right? Or worrying about like being stuck in a career or a job that they don't necessarily like for the rest of their life, when there's this whole digital economy that they're not taking advantage of. So for me, I just want to help as many people as possible realize that. So I'm doing that through the veteran community. I'm also working with other even some coaches and consultants that have offers and have visions like mine with an audience that they're trying to reach and impact to help. So I'm actually working with them and partnering with them to do like their marketing and all their sales as well. So that's going to be kind of like a publishing company that I'm going to be rolling out over the next year as well to help those authors and coaches get their message out into the world.
You ever think about writing a book of your own at some point?
I'm in the middle of doing that now.
There you go. See,
Yeah,
and that's usually the thing, you know, and I ask a lot of people that, you know, because I either talk to authors or I talk to people. I'm like, are you going to write a book about this, all the stuff you got going on? And some are like, you know, I haven't thought about it or whatever. And it's just amazing the knowledge people have that you've got to share that. Like you said, that legacy that you're going to leave. One thing that I mentioned this before on here, but with legacy, there's 3 things people are going to say about you when it's all said and done. That's they're going to say, who are we talking about? Or they're going to say, man, I'm glad that guy's gone. Or they're going to say, man, I sure missed that guy. Yeah. You just got to ask, which one do you want? Which one would you rather have, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's awesome that you're sitting there, you're saying that you're looking at your legacy. So let me ask you this. At what point during your growth, during the time that you know, were going through all this stuff that you've gone through so far, at what point did you see yourself and really had the epiphany and you had such a life-changing event? Was it that in 2015 when you went to Papua New Guinea, or was it something else that kind of flipped that switch in you that said, I need to do something different and I see myself as growing, actual growth, changing myself?
Yeah. There was definitely 2 trigger points. The 2 trigger points, the first trigger point, that deployment to the Pacific Islands definitely triggered me to want to do something else, to do more. Because at that point I felt like, you know, mission accomplished, basically. For me, it was mission accomplished as far as the military. Even though I couldn't get out of the military for basically another 3 years, I was at that point like mission accomplished. It's time for me to start to transition or figure out something else. So from there, I had hope. I had a lot of hope that something would work, that I would find something and be able to figure something out. I didn't quite have a belief system yet as to what that was or how that looked like. And I think that's the most important thing. Once you have hope, you have to understand, like, there's a daily grind that has to happen every single day before you can create belief. A lot of people think belief happens, it's just going to come because you're doing the work. It was, well, not necessarily. You have to actually see it happen first, right? So when I found internet marketing, for me to establish belief that this was going to work, I was going to have to get a client and I was going to have to get them to give me money, right? So I actually, when I kind of started to learn these skills of online advertising, Facebook, Google ads, stuff like that, I found this transportation company. And basically what I did was I told them, hey, you know, I'm going to run some traffic for you and get you some new customers. And I want 25% profit for the first month. And then after that, we'll figure out a flat fee. Right. And they were good with that because they were like, okay, cool. You know, nothing out of pocket up front. Let's see how this goes. So we actually ran the campaign for like 2 months, something like that. So I ran it for a little bit longer than I should have. But I was really committed to them and they were committed to me. And if I would go back, I'd probably like not allow that to go as long. I think it was like 45 days. Maybe it wasn't too much. But basically, after 45 or so days, you know, we looked at their books and we looked at their numbers, and you know, turns out they made about $25,000 profit. Right. So what does that mean? I got 25% cut of that. Right. And I think it was like $6 or $7 grand or something like that. I forgot what the number was, but I just remember getting that check. And I was like, this is it. I now have a belief system that this will work. All of this work that I put in for these past couple months paid off.
And just for that one company, now you could add other companies. It's just going to.
Exactly.
Right.
So I immediately got them on video. They did a testimonial, all that stuff. So I blasted that out all over the internet, everyone that I talked to or I was prospecting. And I just remember taking my girlfriend out at the time and just celebrating, having a big dinner. And I was like, man, we did it. This is it, you know, and cool. I had that belief system. So that was, once that happened, no one could ever tell me that this would never work. So, you know, I didn't really talk about this so much, but over the next 3 years, because I had that belief system and I kept going and I started to have like sort of hockey stick style results.
Yeah.
There was definitely superiors that didn't like what I was doing. Like they looked me up online. They saw my website. They were like, who's this guy? Think he's better than us or what? So I actually got sent up to, like, the captain's mess, and almost they tried to like take my rank and kick me out and dishonorably discharge me and all this crazy stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So it went up to the XO,
Mhm.
not the CO, and
Right.
the XO kicked it back because basically there was no formal instruction, I guess, in the UCMG, UMC, shit, I forgot.
UCMJ. Yeah.
UCMJ, that said an active duty member can't have a side business or be an entrepreneur. Because when they found out, they tried to get me to route paperwork to request to do what I was doing, but on the paperwork, it was for moonlighting. And so I had to sign. There was 2 signature lines. It was one for me as the employer and a signature line for the employee. I'm sorry, for me for the employee, and the employer was a signature line. So when I submitted that paperwork, I signed for both employer and employee because it's my company.
Right.
So when I put the paperwork in, I think my lieutenant or something kicked it back. They were like, "Hey, he did this wrong. He signed on both lines." Well, I own the company. Like, who am I going to go get to go sign it? Like, I started the
right. Do I got to get my mom? What? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
it was like this mass confusion. They're just like, screw this guy. He's just screwing with us. So they sent me up to captain's mast, and the XO was like, we can't reprimand the sailor because we're not actually putting them through a proper request process to even like request this. So they kicked it back. So from my understanding, there wasn't any kind of formal request process at that time back in 2016 or whatever that was. And now there is. So it's called the active duty entrepreneur. So I think that might have went up to big Navy and military.
It could be because of you.
It's quite possible. I don't know, but I heard that there's formal instruction now, to request to be a side business and stuff. So that didn't exist then. Because a lot of it back then was like, hush, hush, don't tell anybody, like, do what you do. But they found out and they wanted me to do like this moonlighting shit. I'm like, nah, that doesn't make sense. But I'll do what you need me to do if you leave me alone.
Right.
So, but yeah, man, it's a funny story.
But you just see yourself. That was a growth moment for you, where you're like, I can do this, and this is where I'll be able to take off from here.
Yeah, absolutely. I had that belief, and I just went with it, man.
And then a little bit of self-confidence in that too. That's just like 100%. Personal.
I didn't let anything stop me. Even through that time, man, I got to tell you, it was a really hard time because every time I showed up for work, I got shit. Like I got looks. I was threatened constantly. The last year I was in, they eventually stuck me in a clinic kind of far away outside of the spotlight, which was nice. And I just did my thing until I got out.
Yeah, I had a guy on the show here one time. Randy Sutton. He used to be I don't know, he's like on 12 episodes of Cops or something like that, right? He's been on several episodes, just showcased. And they actually they told him you're not gonna be allowed to be on any more episodes because he used to work down in Las Vegas. And he was like, well, what the heck? Well, why not? And he was told that the words that they were said, because this isn't the Randy show. And so they didn't. He said, and I said, well, that's kind of crazy. He goes, yeah, there's people out there that will get jealous, and they will sabotage your growth. They will get in your way just because they're jealous to see you actually becoming something more. And that sounds like what you were going through, where there are people that were like I don't like seeing him really succeeding, and I want to take that away because if I can't do it, nobody can do it, sort of mentality. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it was, man.
Yeah. So looking back, are you able to be, if you looked at yourself as a kid, whatever, 10 years old or whatever, and if you were to meet him today, would you be able to say, you know what, or would he be able to look at you and be like, man, I am proud. That's the guy I want to be when I grow up. Would he be able to say that about you? Little 8, 9, 10-year-old Doug.
Yeah, I really do. And he would probably be like, dude, how the fuck did you do it? Like, you definitely did not go against the grain. I mean, honestly, man, because of my story and my childhood, like, and the things that I did and experienced, like, I really should not be where I'm at. Possibly dead or in jail. I have friends that are unfortunately dead or in jail. Some of the circles I was hanging out with as a young kid, right? But we all come from like a super hard place, and we all kind of find our journey. I just didn't allow my environment become a product of my environment. I got out of that. I learned from it. And, I owe the military a lot, a lot of people join the military because it's basically like their last option. Like who really want, I remember watching, what's that movie with the sniper? He was a Navy SEAL sniper.
American Sniper?
American Sniper, that famous actor in there, right? I remember in the movie, he was just, watching TV and he saw the towers, the planes hit the Twin Towers, right?
Right.
And he's like, fuck these motherfuckers. Like, I'm going over there. So he went straight to the Marine Corps recruit. Like, there's people that do that and want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's amazing, dude. We need those bad motherfuckers out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taking care of our country for sure. But most people don't. That's not how they join the military. Most people join the military. Statistically, if you look at the data, most people join the military because it is their last resort,
right?
And they're kind of like out of options.
Yeah, they grow up poor or whatever. They go on a college program or whatever. They're trying to figure out they don't know what they're going to do. They can't afford college.
Yeah,
yeah, or they're trying to avoid jail time.
Yeah,
or the courts or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly how I was. I was, my ultimatum was like, go to college, get out of the house, live on the street, or join the military. And I didn't want to be on the street, and I didn't want to go to college. So like that was like my last option as a 19-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Got nothing else going for him. Like that's what I did, and I'm so glad I did because it really set me up and straightened me out.
Right.
And then I kind of just like took it from there. So
yeah. So this is the What's a Hero podcast, and you are on here. I would assume you don't consider yourself a hero. Most people that I ask to come on here don't. They just think, hey, I just did what I did. I served my country, or I do a job. But I think there's people, especially people who have served their country, and you are helping them know what their next mission is going to be, because that's as important as doing the mission itself, whether they get deployed or whatever. But like you were saying, you would have the Master Chief that 46 years old, and he's like, hey man, I don't want to go to classes with 19-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
So some might define what you do as heroic, or even the fact that whole time that you were doing that Pacific Island tour, that whole thing, those kids coming latching onto your leg and wanting to get those coloring books and things like that. That's heroic. You look at the way that they see you. That's heroic. What is your definition of what a hero should be and or is?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I really feel that a hero is anyone that has others looking up to them as a leader for guidance, right? I'm a hero to my daughter.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
And I would assume a hero to you might be, you were talking about your mentor earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little emotional because I'm thinking of my kid, but
you're good, man.
She looks up to me, and she depends on me to feed her, to bathe her, to do everything. Right. So I'm a hero in her eyes. Yeah. I look up to my mentor, 71 years old, as a hero, because he's given me all of the leadership and guidance that I need, and given me the foresight and clairvoyancy to what the next 50 years looks like, because he's been there, done that. And he looks his training, his methodology. I didn't really say this about him, but he's 71 years old. He's an Olympian. He's worked with 40 Olympians. He's worked with like Tiger Woods, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Lance Armstrong through all 9 Tour de France's. He's probably the best performance coach in the world. He's worked with in the executive suites at Nike and Hitachi, like massive companies. And his whole thing is based off of his observation of human behavior, not some book, not some course, not a college class. It's all through observation. So I've learned a lot from him, so back to your original thing. Yeah. I think, if there's anybody that's looking up to you right now, for help and guidance, and you're the hero because you're the one that's providing them the pathway to success in some way, shape, or form. Right. And I don't think you should discount that at all. You don't have to be the hero. Does not have to be the guy on the hill taking the hill. Yes, we need that is definitely a heroic feat.
Mhm.
But for our people back home, everyone is important to the mission.
Right.
You know, like the guy, if you look at an aircraft carrier, the guys painting the side of the ship and mopping the deck are have extremely important jobs on keeping the integrity of that ship.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone's important. The janitor is important, you know, so I would never discount yourself and think that you're too little. Every person on the team is of equal importance. And everyone has a hero, and you're doing something that that many people are looking up to you for, because without you there fulfilling your role, the mission can't progress forward. So
Right.
you are a hero.
Right. Right. And I love that, the idea that you were saying with your daughter, that you are that, because there's fathers that aren't. They're not there. There's fathers that are absent. There's fathers that are either neglectful. You know, there's something like that. But you're there. You're present when you're there with her, and you know your role and your responsibility with her. That if you don't do it, either somebody else will, or there won't be anybody to do it. And you know that your responsibility is there, and that you're right. That is our role as citizens, as people on this planet. Our role is to be that positive influence for other people, and I agree, that is absolutely a definition of a hero. So that's awesome, man. So, you know, Douglas, thank you for coming on, man. You are absolutely a breath of fresh air, and I know there's going to be a ton of people that are going to be looking at the douglasjames.com just to figure out what their next step is. Like, you got veterans that listen to the show, you got cops and firefighters. Yep. Anybody can be doing that, and anybody can be getting on and working with you. And because there's points where, I mean, people are retiring or whatever, and in their 40s, and they're like, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep, whatever it is, I don't want to work graveyard at 50 years old. That's a hard thing. I want to be able to spend some time with my family. And I think you have the opportunity to be able to help and mentor some folks, which is awesome, which is absolutely cool.
Appreciate that so much, man. Yeah. If your community and team want to check me out, yeah, between now and March, like I said, militarywealthsummit.com. It's just come out to San Diego, hang out with us for a couple of days, or go to my main page and work with us. But
what are the dates on that? What are the dates in March?
Yeah, March 3rd through 5th. So we're going to have registration start about 5 p.m. on the 3rd. It's on a Friday. But there will be there's going to be a mixer that night, and there are going to be speakers as well. We are going to share some information. We have a whole speakeasy shut down for that whole weekend. And then 2 full days of content on the 4th and 5th of March. So,
nice. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's cool. So Douglas, thank you for coming on. And I like I said, I can't thank you enough. And just for you to be willing to come on and share your stuff with us and share your life with us, it's an absolute treat. You got any final words for people out there that are listening?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is, there's only one of you in all creation. So your uniqueness is the thing that's going to differentiate yourself to every single other individual out there. You have something special and unique to give to the world. So you have to tap into that and find that. You can use vehicles and coaching from other people like myself or from Ken or anyone you want, but you have to do the work and do that. So just know that anybody can do it. If there's anything that you want in life, that you can have it 100%. You don't have to rely on someone else to tell you to do, or the government or whoever else. You can make this happen. You just got to show up and do the work. So I'll just leave you with that. And Ken, thank you so much for having me, brother.
Absolutely, sir. You're welcome back anytime as things progress with the douglasjames.com. And until then, thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thanks,
right,
man.
And Douglas James has left the building, so to speak. What a cool way to look at things and to help other people out in doing what they need to do. So I'm impressed with that guy. That's awesome. Good conversation. if you are at that point and you are, trying to figure out how you can listen to more episodes of the Was a Hero podcast, like I'm sure you are, because if you're listening at this point by episode 85 and you haven't listened to us before, well, okay, what's going on? But aside from that, go back, listen to other episodes. How do you do that? You can go to our website. You can go to the What's a Hero podcast.buzzsprout.com. By doing that, you can find all of our previous episodes. You can also find links to whatever podcast platform you listen to. So whether it's Spotify or iTunes or Google or whatever other podcast platform there is, we're on every single one of them. You can go there. You can find our episodes, download them, have them with you. Don't just do it, don't just listen to or stream it on the website, but actually download it. You can have it while you get on the plane, while you're going to San Diego to watch and to go to the militarywealthsummit.com, or you're going to the Military Wealth Summit. You can go there while you're on the plane, listen to more episodes of the What's a Hero podcast. And so that would be cool to do it that way. So go to our website, the What's a Hero podcast.buzzsprout.com. Let me try that again. The What's a Hero podcast.buzzsprout.com. All of our previous episodes are on there. You could stream it from the website, or you can go to the links to the podcast platform in which you like to listen to us from and download the episodes. While you're there, leave a review, either on iTunes or whatever. That helps us. That helps get in the algorithm, so then they know, hey, people like this show, and then they can start showing it to other people. Say, hey, here's a show you might like to listen to. And so leave us a review. Get us some good reviews on there. I would appreciate it. And not just for me, but I mean, it's something that you can honestly say, hey, you know what? I got some value out of this, and it pays us back a little bit, because it costs nothing for you to download this, to have this, to put this on your iPhone or whatever. But it takes a little bit of time, and takes a little bit of effort and money from us here at the What's a Hero podcast to put this together. And, be honest with you, it's kind of a passion project, but it's also one of those things that we really enjoy doing, and we know that there's value in these. So download it. While you're there, leave us a review. The better the review, the cooler it is. Obviously, you can say the negative stuff if you want. You're going to hurt my feelings, and I'm going to be very sad, and then I'll probably never get over it, and I call you out on the podcast. I won't do that, really. But you can go ahead and do that. But I would appreciate a solid, good review on one of those podcast platforms. But you can also find us on all your social medias as well. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and I'm on LinkedIn. You can find us all on there. Go there. You can talk about the episode that you liked, or you can DM me saying, hey, you should have this person or this kind of person on, or whatever the case is, and I'd be happy to find them and bring them on. And I have a lot of connections that might be able to help me find some other good folks. So aside from that, check us out, help us out, be a buddy, or just listen to the show. Those of you that are military veterans, firefighters, nurses, teachers, EMTs, law enforcement officers, I just want to say thank you for who you are, what you do, the time, the sacrifices that you make, those things that you do for other people. It's not something that is taken lightly. It's that ability, like what Douglas was saying, where you have a responsibility to those people that are looking up to you as the hero that you are. And you every day go out knowing that some of you may not return home. Some of you may not return home the same person you left. And what I mean by that is the trauma that you may witness or you may be involved in. It may change your thinking. It may change your way of life. Change that lens in which the way you see things. But whatever the case is, you put yourself out there. And our appreciation is so deep. And I want to thank you so much for everything you do, for keeping us who we are, and giving back to your community, giving back to your people, giving back to your country. Thank you for who you are and what you do. You are appreciated beyond measure. And if you are looking to figure out your next mission, to figure out that next step that you are going to go do in life, check out thedouglasjames.com. He might be able to help you figure out where you're going next. If you're a veteran, if you are a service member that is looking at separating, what are you going to do next? How are you going to help other people? How are you going to continue this mission of service? That's a way to go about doing it. So check out thedouglasjames.com. Also go to militarywealthsummit.com so you can be there March 3rd through the 5th or through the 6th, it looks like. And you can hear some awesome speakers, really get in touch with some good folks and really network to better yourself. And you can share that with other people. And if you want to check out kind of a person that you are, like he was saying, go to Colby.com and you can figure out that kind of person that you are, that kind of way in which you do things. So you know how you're going to be able to go and work and help other people, as opposed to just, hey, I've got a vision, I'm going to do this. So are you going to be able to follow through with that? Maybe not. So then you got to surround yourself with other people who will be able to help you do that. Nevertheless, go to that, check it out. So, for Douglas James, I have been Ken Frownfelter, and this has been the What's a Hero podcast. We are clear.